Good morning, students. So we are starting our math for Wednesday, October 21st. And like I said yesterday, we are continuing on with subtracting fractions from whole numbers. Just one more day to reinforce, make sure that you really understand this before we move on to subtracting mixed numbers. So you guys are doing amazing. Little by little, we are learning so much about fractions, and I'm just really proud of you and excited. So I'm just going to do two of these. I know we've been doing a lot of them together, but it doesn't hurt to just practice. And of course, don't hesitate to let me know if you're still having some trouble with this, because we shouldn't move on to the next step until we are really, really good at this. So let's just do numbers 1 and 2 as a sample. We have 12 minus 12 over 15. So we know by now that we have to take 1 away from 12. So we would change this to an 11. We find our denominator, which in this case is 15. So we would put 15 over 15. Then we subtract. So we have 15 minus 12. And 15 minus 12 is 3 over 15. And 11 minus nothing is 11. Now, this is the correct answer, and it doesn't ask you to reduce. However, if you notice that you can reduce, it doesn't hurt, and you should make a habit of it. And in this case, 3 over 15 can actually be reduced. So remember that the way we reduce is we pick the largest number that can fit into both of them evenly. So that means we need to find a number that fits into 3 and fits into 15. So we can start by 2 because 1 always fits. So does 2 fit into 3 evenly? No. Does 3 fit into 3 evenly? Yes. Does 3 fit into 15 evenly? Yes. So we know we can reduce. So 3 fits into 3 once, and 3 fits into 15 5 times, because 3 times 5 is 15. So essentially, you can have 11 and 1/5, and that be the correct answer too. I won't mark it wrong if you don't reduce, because the instructions don't ask you to reduce. But I definitely encourage you to reduce if you notice. For number 2, we have 17 minus 18 over 25. We're going to take 1 from 17, make it a 16, find our denominator, which is 25. Don't be intimidated by the big numbers. So now we're ready to subtract 25 minus 18. If you don't know it by memory, you can just put it here on the side. Take away 1, 7. So we'll have 7 over 25. And then 16, because it would be 16 minus nothing. And there are no numbers that fit perfectly into 7 and also 25. Now, once you do this for a really long time, you will know right away whether a number fits. But if you have a hard time knowing just right as you look at it, then you'll have to go one by one. Like, does 2 fit into 7? No. Does 3? No. Does 4? No. 5? No. 6? No. So no numbers up to 7 actually fit evenly. So that answer is correct, just like that. So you're going to do the same process from 3 to 16. And I will be available at 11, of course, and I will be available thereafter. Just send me a quick email and let me know so that we can work together. And here for our language arts, we have a lot more learning than we have a written work. So we'll have a lesson today, but that doesn't mean that you can skip it, because you are definitely going to be needing these concepts on our next pages. So we're just reviewing diagramming verbs and subjects as we've been doing, but this time adding in compound subjects and verbs. And I left just one page for today because there's quite a bit to learn, but you will be using all of this tomorrow. So pay attention and mark any questions you might have for me so that we can go over it together. So it says, diagramming compound subjects and verbs. So by now we know what compound subjects and verbs are. It's more than one subject in one or more than one verb. So it's just kind of teaching us how to diagram those when they're compounds, when there's two or more. So it says, when diagramming compound subjects and verbs, write each part of the compound on a separate line. Write the connecting word on the dotted line that connects the parts of the compound subject or verb. Now you can see why I left this lesson on one day without written work, because there's quite a bit to do. And I'm actually going to find a piece of paper here or a notebook so that I can also help with some examples. So here on the first one, we have a compound subject example. And it says, English and history are my favorite subjects. Joshua, Mariah, and I helped Mom clean the house. So here we have not just one subject, but two. And the way that you diagram sentences with two subjects is in this way. You do not just put two subjects on the left. So let me grab a piece of paper here. Having a hard time finding one really quick. Okay. So, it gives you an example, but I would like to do a few with you. So you would draw these two lines one on top of the other when you have two. So in this case, in our subject, we have English and history. So that means you would write English, history, and then which is the word that connects them. In this case, it's and. So they write and on a dotted line going vertically. And then you have your normal vertical line, just like you've been doing this week, with the verb on the right. And as you know, the verb always goes on the right. So it might seem confusing, but really all you're doing is making sure that you keep your verb on the right as usual. But if you have more than one subject, you have to diagram them like this, putting each subject on lines on top of each other, and then writing the connecting word on a dotted line. So I'm just going to go ahead and make one up and show you another example. So let's see. Okay, I got one. Get a pen. So I'm going to write So here I have an example sentence, and it says, apple pie and pumpkin pie are my favorite fall desserts. So here I have a compound subject because I have two subjects. I have both apple pie and pumpkin pie. So this is how I'm going to diagram it. I'm going to find my verb as usual, and in this case my verb is are, because are is a state of being verb. So I would write are on my line like we've done. Then I'm going to do my vertical line, and then I'm going to do my subjects. I have my first subject, apple pie. Then I have pumpkin pie. Let me put a little line. And I have to put in my connecting word. So I have to draw a dotted line, and my connecting word is and. So I'm going to write and here. So it's a little bit of an art, actually, but this is how you do it for a compound subject. And here we just have another example. And this example gives you 3 compound subjects. So we don't only have 2, we have 3, and we have 3 names. We have Joshua, Mariah, and I. So you would put all of the subjects in line, and then connect them with the word and, because that is the connecting word. However, it has a little X here, and it says, notice the X between Joshua and Mariah, showing that the and is understood. So that's a little bit tricky, but pretty much if you have more than one subject, more than two subjects, you will put an X just to kind of show that you understand the connecting word. So we'll get to that a little later and we will go over it. So don't worry. Main thing that you have to take from this is to put all of your subjects on the left, all of your verbs on the right, and then match your connecting word. So here we have on the opposite side a compound verb, but it's the same concept, except you're going to do it on the other side. So in this case, you have just one subject, but two verbs. So you will put your subject on the left, your two verbs on the right, and then your connecting word, which in this case is and, as usual. And then here we have a large compound verb. So we have Erica has studied, set the table, and practiced her piano lesson. We have a lot of verbs here. The has in parentheses before set and practiced shows that the helping verb is understood. So we have has studied, has set, has practiced. I'm going to go over a little bit better why this X is important, but for now, if you have more than two subjects or two verbs, you would write an X next to your and. Then for compound subject and verb, so this one would be just a little more complicated because that means that our sentences have not only two subjects, but also more than two or more verbs. But it's the same style. You would put all of your subjects to the left, all of your verbs to the right, and your connecting words on the dotted line. Over here we have quite a few. We have more than two on this side. So we would put a little X just to show that we understand that it would be played and fed and went. So one more reminder. When you begin to do these sentences tomorrow, and I will help explain them, just remember your subjects go to the left, your verbs go to the right, and then you put your connecting word on the dotted line. So for today, Wednesday, you don't have to start on page 53, but I want you to go back and re-watch this lesson, bring any questions you have to Zoom so that we can be prepared for page 53. Because as you can see, the language is getting a little bit more challenging every day, and I want you to be comfortable with it. And here for our spelling for list 9, we have a list word assignment. So that means that we're going to be using all of our list words for this page. So the first thing you're going to do is write a list word that is related. So this is actually much easier than it may seem. You're going to read all of the words out loud and then find the word that's related to it. And it's often spelled a lot like these words or sounds like it. So let's do a couple of examples. For number 1, we have the words crowd, crowding, uncrowded. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our list and find the word that sounds most like these words, the one that is related. So you will notice as we go down our list that we have the word crowded. So that sounds and looks a whole lot like the words on number 1. So we would have crowd, crowding, uncrowded, and then crowded. So we would write crowded. One more example, we have doubt, doubting, undoubtful. You go to our list words, we go down and we find the word doubtful. Very similar, very related. So that's what you're going to do for numbers 3 through 11 is find the related word. Saying them out loud definitely helps. And then here you're just completing sentences. Now, here's the trick. It doesn't tell you this, but the key is to look in the back of the book for definitions. And I know sometimes you may not want to because it's an extra step, but that's what's really going to help you understand and help fill out these sentences. So you're completing the sentences so they make sense, but really you're kind of explaining the meaning. So for number 12, for example, it says, if you are unsure, you are blank. So we need to find a word that kind of means unsure. So we have to go through all of the words and we would figure out that doubtful means the same as unsure. However, if you're looking through your list and you've said every word out loud and you have no idea, that means that you should be looking in the back of the book at your spelling dictionary to help find the meanings. So you would pick the words that you think may fit and then look them up in the back. But some of these you may know already. So you're going to go through all of them and you're going to include the word that best fits or that has a similar meaning, and on the top, words that are related.